The number of undocumented citizens in the United States is constantly rising from year to year without those citizens gaining constitutional rights. But is that really what's best for the nation? The effects of undocumented citizens' population has on the nation is worse off than if they qualified for constitutional rights and government benefits. These undocumented citizens can bring us harm if the country continues to prevent them from getting good jobs, qualifying for public education, and even benefits from the poor. Some examples of financial government benefits include food stamps, unemployment, Social Security, and much more. Each year, benefits like this keeps millions of people out of poverty. Education is the first step in having a successful future, and without free public education benefit given to all citizens, undocumented citizens are put at a disadvantage. Education is directly related to how a person will make later on in life. Due to the fact that immigrants do not get financial help from the U.S. government nor education rights, there is no way that the children coming from foreign countries can get this education, thus creating a never-ending cycle of poverty for the family. Speaking of a never-ending cycle, without an education or college degree, a career is almost out of the question for these undocumented citizens. On the other hand, only 5.2% of people do not have a career that did not receive a quality education. One would think that it would be obvious that improving the poverty situation in the United States would be to allow these people the constitutional rights that citizens are given in order to improve their financial situations. This could especially be key in recent years as immigration becomes more of a problem as well as poverty in our country. Of course, one could argue that it is unfair to give illegals the money hardworking Americans have earned, but by allowing this, these immigrants could work for a better future and even become legal citizens.
Time. 1 minute.
You refer to illegal immigrants as undocumented immigrants, but undocumented immigrants are immigrants who are allowed in the United States with the government's approval while waiting for documentation.
You also mentioned education. Education is very fair for everyone in the United States to move forward. And an interesting stat that we found was that there are approximately 4.7 million illegal immigrant or descendant of illegal immigrant children in our school systems throughout the country. About 1.3 million of these illegal immigrants are directly from the border coming without anything. Now, 3.4 of these are children, so they are U.S. citizens, but they are still children of illegal immigrant with no roots other than themselves.
1 minute to respond.
Well, according to the 14th Amendment, all persons born or naturalized in the U.S. and subject to jurisdiction, therefore, are citizens of the United States where they reside. So if they were born in the States, then they are, in fact, citizens of America. So to say that they have no roots is, frankly, unconstitutional.
30 seconds.
Also, treating communicational diseases in the earliest stages required that the immigrants should be able to access service for all healthcare conditions, because that puts everyone else in danger also if we're not supporting them.
Seconds. Time. 1 minute to respond. That's the next slide. I'm sorry. Time, 2 minutes. Break.
Alright. The majority of the population of illegal immigrants in the United States is based off of 7 states, my fault. Arizona, California, Florida, New Jersey, and New York. New Jersey, New York, Texas, and the last one's interesting. The last one's Illinois. Now, all of these states altogether put together 3/4 of all illegal immigrants in the United States. It also shows that they are all over the country. It's not just the border states along Mexico. It's also New York, which is one of the highest, actually it is the 3rd highest of these states. that has illegal immigrant populations. And when we think about illegal immigrants, they're not always the stereotypical Hispanic family that has moved in. There are families that come from all over the world to get into America that are not illegal immigrants.
U.S. citizens were blessed with the rights that were given to us by the bravest humans ever to live, which were the soldiers that died to give us those rights for our independence. And basically, we shouldn't be giving our rights as citizens away to illegal immigrants just because they're just because the United States is known as the melting pot. You should still have to go through, documentation or naturalization to become a citizen instead of just immigrating.
Time. 1 minute to respond.
Well, what does it mean to fly a flag that represents freedom? We ourselves blatantly decide to deny others entry into our vast country just because they don't have the correct papers. Legality is out the window when the ones making the rules break them on a constant basis. Who is to blame those who have to sneak their way into the States when the fact remains that simply being in the States is enough to make anyone feel the sentiment of freedom and success? The Statue of Liberty used to be a beacon of hope, being the first monument immigrants would see when first arriving to the States. Now the beacon has gone cold, out of pure greed and prejudice. Constitutionality of all men are created equal is diminished. The only reason that someone is not allowed to enter this country is because they didn't pay the money required to get into our little club. It's a shame that a gift from France from the 1870s brings false hope of a welcoming melting pot.
Time. Okay, 1 minute to respond.
The truth is that illegal immigrants are actually hurting the U.S. middle class and is severely damaging to the U.S. economy. Illegal immigration costs U.S. taxpayers about $113 billion a year at federal, state, and local levels.
When illegals come to America, they come to get a new start, no? Well, with that, they know that there have been problems in the other countries, and the citizens of the United States do know this. Now, it is fine for people to come into America. However, when they come in under the radar and then commit problems, now not all illegal immigrants commit problems, but a good majority of them do. And that's the part that I really want to focus on. There are some that do good things in America, and there are some who have done good things in America. But there are also many who have brought several problems to our economy.
Time. Okay, 1 minute to respond. Okay.
Pro 2 minutes.
Pro 2 minutes, sorry.
It's estimated that the involvement of Hispanic immigrants in crime is less than that of citizens. And these results cast doubt on the hypothesis that immigrants causes crime and make more transparent the immigration and criminal justice policies and inflate the rate of Hispanic incarceration.
Also, upholding the rights of immigrants is important to us all. The fundamental Constitution, protection of due process and equal protection, embodied in our Constitution and Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights applies to every person and are not limited to citizens.
And you also said many immigrants are hurting the States. What kind of number, what kind of statistics is many? That's just adjective.
You have like 1 minute left.
Oh,
Some of the most intelligent and ambitious individuals who are unsatisfied with their own countries bring their skills to America and take low-paying jobs that nobody else prefers, and we should acknowledge that.
So losing a little bit of tax money here and there doesn't outweigh giving them the basic human rights that we get as citizens. I mean, people are people. You don't just let them die and
30 seconds.
let them go without an education just because we're spending $113 billion. I mean, we spend $113 billion on NASA easily, sending people up into space. So, I think our priorities need to be straight where the money's going.
Time.
Okay, 1 minute to respond.
You asked for an example of how they can hurt the local government. Well, I found a Lake County in Illinois. In Lake County, 50% of all murders are committed by illegal immigrants. 21.5% of all criminal activity is committed by illegal immigrants. And all of this costs the county, not the state, not the federal government, but the local county, over $4 million. And this is all taxpayers' money that goes to what would be education,
30
what
seconds.
would be roads, what would be a better life for citizens and help out the community. That is a perfect example in my mind of how they can do harm to a local government or a local society.
15 seconds. Time.
1 minute to respond.
So to me, it sounds like the number of legal immigrants is constantly rising, and these numbers are going to get bigger now. Well, through the years 2002 through 2011, the population of the U.S. population increased by 84%, while from the same 2 years, which is over a 9-year span, the percentage of illegal immigrant population has only increased by 22%.
30 seconds.
So there are more of us in this country than there are of them. And based on that, taking care of the greater, just because we're more and because we have the rights, because we're citizens, doesn't mean that the other 22% shouldn't be able to get health care or get their education.
Time.
Okay. Minute to respond.
No, Con has 2 minutes.
Time, 2 minutes, guys.
On the topic of healthcare, Medicaid was created by the Social Security Acts of 1965 and was put in place to allow the poor to receive medical care in the United States. A little-known part of the state and federal health insurance program for the poor has long paid about $2 billion a year for emergency treatment for a group of patients who, according to the hospitals, mostly comprise illegal immigrants. And around 5% of the medical care given to the uninsured patients is paid back to the hospitals. So that's a very low percentage for the amount of money they have to spend on these illegal immigrants. Some of the senior citizens in the United States have retired and need health insurance to help with medical bills, but some of them cannot receive the aid that they need with the money because of the fact that most of these illegal immigrants need the money for medical bills and
And on the topic of population, there are over 300 million people in the United States, opposed to just over maybe 12 million illegal immigrants. So yes, United States citizens outnumber illegal immigrants significantly. It's outstanding how much, it's wonderful. I would be worried if there were more illegal immigrants in the United States than the actual U.S.
30
citizens. Now, a lot of these illegal immigrants, they, percentage-wise, they do outnumber United States citizens with them being uninsured or being on health care. And that, I don't want to say that's expected, but it's harder for them to get the jobs that would pay and give these benefits just on the fact that they are
Time.
illegal immigrants.